How'd I do, Stan?
Very good, actually.
I can't...
Good commercial announcer there, Ken.
I tried not to read it like a radio announcer, but I can't tell you what a thrill it is to have you on the air and how bothered I am by reading a commercial just before I talk to perhaps the king of commercials. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to talk to you. I have anybody that's in this business is in awe of Stan Freberg, perhaps radio's best friend. Is that a good way to describe you?
Well, I don't know about the being in awe part, but I like to think that I may be radio's best friend today. Yeah, that's right.
You know, Jack Benny had his show go on the air for the first time back on this day, and I forgot the year.
Yeah.
But he perhaps was one of the first people to ever poke fun at the sponsor. And then radio went through a tradition where we got away from the live audiences and we went into this business of just announcing spots, and everybody was very straight-faced until you came along.
Well, interestingly enough, Benny was one of my idols growing up as a kid, preacher's kid actually, in South Pasadena. My great idols were Fred Allen and Jack Benny. And so I was fortunate enough to be able to work on the Jack Benny show as a young actor. I was about 18 years old when I was on Jack Benny. And then an even bigger thrill was when I replaced Jack Benny on the CBS radio network. And that show, the Stan Freberg Show, in 1957, after that went off, that was the last network comedy radio show that emanated from either New York or Hollywood. So that makes me the last network radio comedian in America.
I have a little bit of a clip. In fact, I have a clip of a little bit of that show.
Oh, you do, huh?
Yeah.
You know what that was?
What?
It was a full half hour of the Stan Freberg Show played backward at high speed. How would you like to hear it played forward at normal speed?
Please.
This is the 14th show of the series of a brand new radio series.
From Hollywood, we present the Stan Freberg Show, brought to you by Stan Freberg.
With the music of Billy May.
Plus the songs of Peggy Taylor with Dawes Butler, June Foray, Peter Leeds, and Judd Conlon Rhythm Airs.
You may not find us on your TV,
because in case you did not know, we're being brought to you by. Brought to you on. Brought to you by RADI.
So you pretty well polished off radio comedy with that one, right?
You know, interestingly enough, I just worked with June Foray yesterday.
She's one of the great voices that was a part of your company. I was thinking of Jess.
Absolutely. Of course, June went on to do the voice of Rocky the Squirrel and Natasha in the Bullwinkle show.
Yeah. Jesse White, the Maytag repairman, was a regular Freberg character.
Oh, yeah. And Dawes, of course, Dawes Butler, who was originally from Chicago.
Yeah. In fact, we talked with Dawes about 3 or 4 months ago.
Did you?
Yes.
He went on to do all the. He was in the Bullwinkle thing also, but probably more famous for the Yogi Bear voice and Huckleberry Hound stuff he did for Hanna-Barbera.
Mm-hmm. That intro to that radio show has to be one of the most polished of any of them, and I guess Billy May is to thank for that too, huh?
Oh yeah, well, Billy is great. Of course, he still today just does all the music that for me, and well, most of it, I would say. And he and I did a television special in 1980 for PBS called the Stan Freberg Federal Budget Review. For the $600 billion misunderstanding. It was a musical on the federal budget.
I saw that.
We thought Carter's budget of $600 million was laughable. Little did we know that the $1 trillion budget was just around the corner.
You know, the government has recognized your work. I don't want to read this all, but I'd sure like to. this was Mel Levine, the Honorable Mel Levine of California in the House of Representatives, and they paid you about the highest tribute they could pay you.
Yeah, it was read into the congressional record last year in May, just about a year ago, and it was really very nice. It commended me for, among other things, 30 years of joy and laughter to the world, but it also called me the voice of truth and credibility in advertising, which is nice.
Yeah, in fact, Stan Freberg has been cited as the one man who has done more than anyone else to legitimize the use of humor in advertising. Because of his absolute insistence in truth in advertising, he's been called the conscience for the industry's credibility. Wow.
Really pretty nice, huh?
Yeah. You have won 21 Clio Awards. That is like the Oscar for commercials.
Yes.
18 International Broadcasting Awards, and you hold the record, as I recall, for even Elvis and the Beatles didn't touch this as far as the fastest climbing record.
Yeah. Elvis and the Beatles, of course, sold a lot more records than I did, but they never had a hit that rose that fast, 1 million in the first 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, those were actually not just records shipped, but sold 1 million in 3 weeks, which was for St. George and the Dragonet to take off on Dragnet.
Yeah.
And the timing was really very good on that and so forth.
I was just watching cable the other night, and I saw Callaway Went That Away.
Oh, gosh.
and I got to thinking about you.
Small part in there. Yeah, Fred McMurray, Dorothy McGuire. Yeah, that was it. And Howard Keel.
Yeah. What did Stan Freberg really want to do back in the early days? Was it movies that you wanted to do, or?
No, not at all. I really just from the time that I first heard Fred Allen on radio, I knew I wanted to be a satirist and operate as a satirist in broadcasting mainly. And I didn't have any idea that radio would still be around for a while. On the network sense, it's very healthy. Radio is a very healthy industry on the local level, like in Bloomington and other places around America.
Yeah, a lot of people thought that radio was going to be dead. TV was just going to put it away, and
it didn't put it away on the local level at all. It's a very thriving. If somebody these days really wants to make a lot of money, they'll buy a radio station and help it grow, and then sell it for more than they paid for it, and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really still a great growth industry, but that the radio that did not survive really as we knew it was network radio on NBC and ABC and CBS radio.
Mm-hmm.
So network radio now is relegated to small 3.5 minute, 5 minute drop-ins occasionally in the news, and
mm-hmm.
so which is a pity. I still think that network radio can come back. I've said it for a long time. In fact, public radio, which is American public radio, the people that put on the Garrison Keillor Prairie Home Companion every Saturday night.
That's a fine show, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and I've sat there in St. Paul, Minnesota, and watched it being done live, in fact. But anyhow, they keep talking to me about doing a new Freberg show for the 80s, and if they can get the underwriting, that's the thing about public radio. It has totally, is like public television, is dependent upon, some funds from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, but really that's just a drop in the bucket. They need underwriting by big companies, Mobile and Esso and
mm-hmm.
P&G or whoever.
You've been pushing radio for years. In fact, you just came up with some new spots for the NAB. You've done those off and on, I think, throughout the years. At least I can remember other series.
Well, I did some. Excuse me if I seem to be clearing my throat. The answer is that I am actually clearing my throat. It's because it's a little early still here on the West Coast.
Yeah, and I appreciate you getting up.
No, I was up on the roof with a Japanese fan trying to blow some of the strontium-90 away from the fallout. I was due in Beverly Hills this morning about 7:45, so I've been up on the roof there. Yeah, I think I blew it all away. Yeah. But anyhow, where were we? Oh, yes.
We were talking about
I remember now.
The NAB things.
The National Association for Broadcasters hired me recently, about 3 months ago, to come up with a new, mainly a new commercial for the 80s to celebrate the uniqueness of the medium called radio. So I created this new spot. It's actually recorded in digital stereo. And I was the keynote speaker in Dallas at the NAB convention about 3 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
And we played this for the first time to all the radio affiliates and independent stations and so forth. And so these commercials were shipped to radio stations across America, so they're just going on the air now.
We might point out that it's your son that's also on this commercial.
Yeah, that's right. My son Donovan, who was 14 years old when he recorded this. Now he just turned 15 about 2 weeks ago. So he's the little boy wandering around with me, and I'm trying to explain about radio inside my mind.
Radio? Why should I advertise on radio? There's nothing to look at, no pictures.
Listen, you can do things on radio you couldn't possibly do on TV.
That'll be the day.
All right, watch this. Okay, people, and now when I give you the cue, I want the 700-foot mountain of whipped cream to roll into Lake Michigan, which has been drained and filled with hot chocolate. Then the Royal Canadian Air Force will fly overhead towing a 10-ton maraschino cherry, which will be dropped into the whipped cream to the cheering of 25,000 extras. All right, cue the mountain. Cue the Air Force. Cue the maraschino cherry. Okay, 25,000 cheering extras.
Now, you want to try that on television?
Well...
You see, radio is a very special medium because it stretches the imagination.
Doesn't television stretch the imagination?
Up to 27 inches, yes. Presented by the National Association of Broadcasters.
Now, that wasn't your son.
No, that wasn't my son. That was Paul Frees, the actor. That was the other spot that I redid slightly for the NAB. But the next spot I hope you're going to play is the one with my son, the brand new spot.
If I hit the right button.
Okay.
I'm just sort of walking around here inside the theater of my mind.
How did I get in here?
I put you in here. That's the nice thing about radio. I can put anything I want in here.
Watch out for those elephants.
That was close. Watch yourself. You almost stepped in front of that train.
I saw it coming, actually.
Is that a merry-go-round over there by those Inca ruins?
Yes, it is.
Well, what do you mean that's the nice thing about radio?
Well, unlike, say, TV, which is at the mercy of the size of the screen, you know, the monitor of our head is limitless.
I get it.
Like that giant pterodactyl over there, taking a bite out of the Superdome.
That's neat.
Send the synthesizer players in, will you?
Come on in. Thanks for helping me reappreciate radio. I gotta play this back on my Walkman.
Excuse me?
Yeah?
You left the door to my mind open.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Presented by the National Association of Broadcasters.
Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
Good. You like that?
Yeah. How long does it take to...
It's probably the first time it's been played on the air in the state of Illinois.
Debuting right here. How long does it take you, Stan, to put one of those things together?
Well, you talking about writing it or producing it?
From the time you start saying, hey, I've got to produce a spot here sometime.
Well, I thought about it actually for about a month, but I didn't think about that particular thing to do. I thought about all the other things I could have done and rejected. And then when I suddenly realized, sitting upstairs in my house, I thought, well, you know, we're talking about all these years about radio being the theater of the mind. What about if the commercial or the 1-minute message actually took place inside my mind?
Mm-hmm.
So the moment that I arrived at that concept, I think it was probably only about 30 minutes to an hour at the most that took me to write that.
But then the production, I mean, the techniques are terrific.
Oh, well, that took several days there, yeah.
Yeah.
We had to find all the right sound effects. I made some of the effects. The sound of the bird biting into the glass, the crunch, was done by me live in the studio, and then the debris was recorded, but then we added some more debris to it. And the footsteps I did live at 3 o'clock in the morning at the Lion's Share studio owned by Kenny Rogers. I'm in there strapping on these leather boots, you know, that I always use for walking when I want to make sound effects.
Yeah.
And I'm there with earphones, and I can't walk too far because the earphone cord isn't quite long enough, and so I'm walking in this echo chamber, actually.
It's absolutely fascinating. We had Jimmy McDonald in the studio one time, and he brought this suitcase.
That's my sound man.
Is he still?
Well, I mean, he's worked with me over the last 25 years. He's the guy that taught me how to do a lot of the effects that I now do.
Uh-huh.
He and the guys that were on my CBS radio show, I learned...
A lot of people...
I learned walking from a man named Gene Twombly, who was the guy on the Jack Benny radio show who did all the walking for Benny.
Uh-huh.
And he's the guy that's on the record of mine called Deo, the Banana Boat song.
Oh, yeah, we just played that this morning.
Yeah, oh, good. Well, the guy, walking out of the door, slam, and walking in, walk.
Yeah. There's a...
Door slamming is still the same sound door that I have after all this time.
Yeah.
And but the walking was taught to me by Gene Twombly. He's dead now. But before he went, he passed his craft on to me as best he could over the years.
Mm-hmm.
And McDonald that worked on the United States of America.
Right, his name is right on the front. Yeah.
He's a great guy.
He, a little man with a mustache, also did the voice for Mickey Mouse.
Oh, yes. And many other things, too. He won Academy Award for the sounds on a couple of movies of Disney.
So,
I love Jimmy very much. He's still... a very active guy. He's getting along in years, but he's very active. He's just a consultant to Disney, I think, mostly now.
Mm-hmm. In fact, he just...
comes in and does a session for me once in a while.
The intro to that radio show that we played had all these complicated sound effects in it, and I think I detected the BB and the balloon where the things...
Now, that was Jimmy McDonald's.
Yeah.
That was his effect. Actually, I stole that sound effect from myself. It was on the end of a record that Jimmy did. The sounds for called "The World Is Waiting for the Sunrise." It was a takeoff on Les Paul and Mary Ford, so I lifted that sound from. It's all right to steal from yourself. That's the Freberg rule. And then I put it on the CBS radio show. But I'd made that record only a couple years before the CBS show.
Yeah. Stan, I want to play a commercial or two, pay the light bill.
Well, I mean, I was wondering when you're going to pay the bills here. Yeah.
It's 23 past 10 o'clock. Stan Freberg is on the line. Want to take a phone call or two? We could do.
No, sure, whatever.
We could do that. 829-2345 or 1-800-322-9377 in a minute.
Want a new way to save money? Shop for Cub Foods TPRs, or temporary price reductions. That's when we pay less for an item and pass the savings on to you.
Now through Wednesday at Cub Foods, USDA Choice Boneless Top Round Steak is just $1.49 a pound. Vine-ripened strawberries are only 79 cents a pound. And 2-liter Coca-Cola and assorted flavors is 99 cents.
TPRs at Cub Foods. It's a new way to run a supermarket. 403 North Veterans Parkway, Bloomington.
Look at this garage. It's so full of lawn and garden equipment, there's no room for my car. I only use it part of the year, and I have to maintain it, too.
Weaver's Rent-All has the perfect solution to that problem. Weaver's rents power rakes and post-hole diggers, sod cutters and rototillers, ladders, wheelbarrows, and many more handy items for outdoor projects. Let Weaver's do the storing and maintaining, and you get your projects done the easy way. Stop by Weaver's Rent-All at 212 North Main in Normal, or call 452-RENT.
$1.50.
$1.50?
Yes, $1.50.
Well, what's $1.50?
That's all you pay to have your skirts, slacks, sweaters, or pants cleaned at Model Paris.
Where?
Model Paris.
When?
Friday and Saturday.
Where?
Model Paris's 3 convenient locations.
Where?
Broadway and Beaufort Normal, in Towanda Plaza, and at 1202 East Oakland.
How much?
Only $1.50.
For what?
For cleaning your skirts, sweaters, slacks, or pants.
Where?
Model Paris.
When?
Friday and Saturday.
Pick a pack, McDonald's Value Pack.
Get your favorite large hamburger, large Coca-Cola, and free bonus fries in a handy pack. All for a special price.
Rub-a-dub-dub, 3 men with a tub. Pick 3 different value packs. A special price with McDLT, quarter pounder with cheese or Big Mac.
For a limited time at participating McDonald's.
Pick a pack at McDonald's. McDonald's Value Pack. Choose quarter pounder with cheese, Big Mac, or McDLT with large Coke and bonus fries, just $2.73. Tax not included. Prices may vary.
Stan Freberg, what an honor to have you on the line this morning. Let me go right to the phones. Good morning, you're on the air with Stan.
Good morning, Mr. Freberg.
Yes. How are you?
Yes, and I'm wondering where you've been for the past 22 years.
I've been around. I've been up on the roof just the last few minutes alone, blowing the fallout away with the Japanese fan. That's what I told Ken earlier.
I've blown out more.
But I've been doing a few things other than fanning the fallout.
Well, good luck. We're all counting on you.
Thank you. Yes, well, it's nice to be on the air in Chicago in the daytime, or at least in Illinois. I'm usually on at night when Eddie Schwartz calls me from WGN.
Yeah, you were on there not too long ago, right, Stan?
Not too long ago, yeah.
Yeah.
But this is my first time in Bloomington.
Yeah. The caller that's on the line, I think, has had a birthday party for you for what? How many years?
The 22 years, actually. Yeah.
Yes, I thought that name was familiar, yes. I'm the man that sent you the potato chips once, right?
We started the party in 1965. I sent Stan an invitation, and he sent his regrets, the same in 66. After which I sent a scathing letter explaining that there were no potato chips at the party, and the guest of honor didn't even have the decency to show up.
Well, that was, interestingly enough, I sent you the potato chips when I had the Bell brand potato chip company as a client. Now, what is it, 20 years? Not 22 years, is it? Later, these people have returned to me to do a new commercial for a new potato chip they call Ma Bell. Ma Bell's original potato chip, if you can believe that.
You buy it from the phone company or what?
No, yes. They somehow discovered that AT&T or whoever had never registered that name. So they were able to trademark it, get a registry on Ma Bell's potato chip. And so I told them, look, there's already enough potato chips on the market. That's just what the world needs, all right, another potato chip.
we have
me to the point where they actually let me use that line in a commercial. You think you might play it later? We don't have to play it right now.
Yeah, I do have a couple of those commercials. In fact, one from 20 years ago, and then the latest one that was on in California last month.
Yeah, it started last month. It's still playing on the air live as we speak here.
Yeah.
But let's see, what are you going to have a party again this year for Freberg birthday party?
We'll see you on August 16th.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you for when your wife called for the fourth party.
Was it the fourth party she called?
The year after the chips.
Oh, the year after the chips, my wife called. Did she? Well, she's sitting right here, same wife, still sitting here, and
just ready to jump up and use the phone again.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for the call.
Thanks a million. I'll talk to you on my birthday.
We'll see you then.
Okay.
Send you the directions.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, as I recall, he sent road conditions and all this kind of thing about which roads were blocked and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
He assures everybody that Stan will be there next year.
Sure.
So let's take another call. Good morning. You're on the air with Stan Freberg.
Stan, after all the years I've listened to the radio and anyone ever mentions commercials, I think of the big cherry being dropped into that whipped cream.
Yes.
We played that this morning, the latest version of that.
Yes. And
played that, yeah.
How long ago did you make that?
I think I originally made that in the mid-'60s, and it was for the Radio Advertising Bureau, but I own the material, so I now released it to the National Association of Broadcasters so they could once again remind people about the great medium we're talking on here.
Okay.
All-time favorite commercial.
Thank you. The interesting thing is that Stephen King, the horror writer, wrote a book called Danse Macabre. See, so anyhow, it's not a work of fiction. It's a nonfiction book talking about the problems he's had with Hollywood over the years and what influenced him growing up and things like that. It's a very interesting book. And so I'm reading along there, and I suddenly, without any warning, I discovered my name there in the book, and he, among other things, he was nice enough to call me a genius, but he said I was one of the people that influenced him growing up as far as what radio could do and the pictures you could paint in your mind. But this guy suddenly remembered it somehow as me dropping it into Puget Sound instead of Lake Michigan. And not only that, instead of a 10-ton maraschino cherry, Stephen King remembered it as a 50-ton maraschino cherry, after which there were 100,000 cheering extras instead of 25. So everything on my commercial was upped slightly, which is really a compliment to me, see, because the guy envisioned it even bigger than I was stating it, right?
That's absolutely right. Thank you for calling.
All right, thank you.
Back even in the days, I'm a Laurel and Hardy buff, And back in the days when they were making movies, rather than show you somebody fall down the stairs, they would just show you the person who watched the person fall down the stairs and did these terrific sound effects. And it created a much better image than...
Oh, yeah. Well, actually, that's the action and reaction, yeah. Yeah, if you look at a Charles Addams cartoon, or some of the classic spot cartoons from the New Yorker magazine, and the funniest ones, I mean, the humor really comes off the person reacting, standing off to one side, staring at this strange apparition or whatever it is. Yeah.
Because and it's cheaper than blowing up a whole city if you can just sort of talk about it or give you the sound effect of it or
that's right.
All that kind of thing. Stan, we have 5 minutes worth of news. If you don't mind, I know you have to get your son off to school, but if you can stick around for, another 10 or 15 minutes, we'll take some more phone calls and play those those Bell potato chip commercials.
All right. Bye.
Stan Freberg on the line. It's 10:31 in the morning, 49 degrees.
So I was making a perfectly good living without ever having touched anything connected with advertising, but I finally became so fed up with the ineptness of Madison Avenue and other places in advertising bumbling their way to communicate with me that I decided if I ever had a chance to do it, I would do it the way I wish someone else would do it for me. And so the first people came to me through Cunningham and Walsh Advertising Agency.
You know, I have an excellent example.
I was a success from that point on, yeah.
I have an excellent example of your attitude to our commercials from one of your old radio shows, too, but I hate to spend 6 minutes playing it while we have you on the line, because I know you have to get going. But you're checking on the commercials for your show. You didn't have a sponsor at that time for one of the...
I didn't have a sponsor because at that point, I was still holding out for a single sponsor, the way State Farm sponsored Jack Benny and the Jell-O Company and so forth. It was really very naive of me. I should have allowed CBS Radio to sell spots in the show because that's the only way radio could survive. But I was really hard-nosed about it. I was determined to get 1 or 2 sponsors to sponsor the whole show. And at that point, in 1957, advertisers really had fled network radio for television.
Anyway, it's a great example. I think I'll play that after we let you go.
Well, okay. So I thought, to satirize the whole situation, I'll just poke fun at myself and pretend to sponsor myself.
Yeah. You're on the air with Stan Freberg. Do you have a question or comment?
A wonderful. Hi, Stan. How you doing?
Good.
Good. I want to thank you, first of all, very much for letting me enjoy you all those years. I went to high school in the 50s, and that was your heyday.
Yes.
And a lot of your records became sort of catchwords of our high school generation, like, Pearson.
Yeah, right.
The whole ballroom's lathering up with bubbles. Help, turn off the bubble machine, things like that. That was the same time that Steve Allen was pretty strong going along, and Mad Magazine had just come out. So it seemed as if, I don't know if the time was ripe for satirists and for that kind of thing. And
well, it was better. It was a better time for satirists because the world was a more serious, pompous place.
Right. It was the Eisenhower generation. It was marvelous. I mean, I loved it, and I just... the problem today is I can't get a copy of Wonderful. I've tried to...
Okay, you have to find a Capitol re-release.
Oh, you did re-release it?
It was re-released in an album. Capitol does not re-release single records. Or I don't think any record company does. They only re-release albums, and it's in an album called Stan Freberg with the original cast, and my foot is in a cast. Appropriately, there's a joke somewhere there. And so it's in that album.
Okay. No, it wasn't a Child's Garden of Verses or something like that. I believe that was...
Child's Garden of Freberg. That was not re-released. That's a real collector's item, yeah.
I know it.
But the Wonderful was in the other one with the cast, as I told you.
Some of these albums are worth like hundreds of dollars, aren't they?
Yes, they are, yeah.
Wow.
Wonderful. I mean, and that's one of my all-time favorites. We could talk WJBC into getting hold of it. We'd be all right.
Love to get one, but...
my brother's with the Strategic Air Command. He's just retired as a colonel, but he was. And he was up at one of the radar outposts in Alaska at one point, and was in the bad snow weather, and these guys were up on this tall scaffolding, and somehow they had this thing with a lot of sparks, low amperage, but a lot of sparks going on, and this thing was just, until they got it disconnected, there was like the Aurora Borealis going on up in the air there with all these electrical sparks, in the snow, and so over the PA comes this voice saying, "Somebody turn off the machine."
I love it. I got thrown out of so many study halls saying things like that.
Yeah. Listen, thanks for the call.
You bet.
There are so many people that want to talk to you, and we're running out of time. You're on the air with Stan Freberg.
Hello?
Go ahead, please.
Oh.
You're on the air.
I'm on. Okay, I got the radio for a second.
That's all right.
I even put a quarter in this phone to call. That's how much I wanted to call you.
Oh, gee, that's great.
Listen, I'm an artist. I was born in Bloomington, Illinois in 1938. Went to Edward School, U-High. A bachelor's from Illinois Wesleyan, master's from Illinois State. And I recently quit my printing job. And I'm going full-time into the profession that I'm going to start a not-for-profit corporation for historic preservation through photography, printing, and the creative arts. And I'd like to try to get you to do a 60-second spot for me. How would I contact you about a rate?
Organization?
Hello?
Hello?
Yes.
Hello? Non-profit organization?
Yes.
Oh, I see.
I'm getting garbled stuff on the phone here. I can't understand it.
That was probably me.
You're not garbled.
You're going to have the problem of how do you get airtime. Whether you're able to hire me to do it or not is the least of your problem.
Yeah.
The big problem is where you're going to get the money to buy the airtime. So you.
Well, I've got a friend in California that I went to school with, and he's got a tax problem I can't believe, and he's a research scientist.
Yeah.
And he'll send all the money I need for it, I'm sure.
Really? Well, that's great. Well, I'd like to help you out. Why don't you get in touch with me?
How do I do that?
I'm in the phone book in Beverly Hills, California.
Okay, and I listened to you on West Jefferson Street many hours. I grew up 5 blocks from the square, and I treasure those radio programs so much.
Thank you for calling, sir.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. I want to get to the Irving Bell story here in just a minute, but one more phone call. Good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, I wanted to ask Dan if it's true that the album The United States is going to be part of the celebration of the Statue of Liberty. I understand the DAR's objected somewhat, but maybe that can be overcome.
Why are they objecting?
Well, ask Dan. I think he might understand that.
Good heavens.
No, actually, I don't know anything about that. I thought it would have been a good idea to use, to put on a live performance of the USA and for the Statue of Liberty celebration, but no one has asked me.
Oh, sure, I am.
Well, somebody up around Iacocca's level, I think, has...
Oh, I see, because that is certainly one of the best albums ever made.
Thank you. Well, I'd like to do it, but first, in this world, you have to be asked, you know. The fact is, though, that there is a stage production of that, at least in the blueprint stage now, and maybe in the next 8 months, why it'll be launched, a stage version of Stan Freberg Presents the United States of America.
In fact,
I hope so, and it was just half as good, it'd be wonderful.
That album has been used in the classroom to try to stimulate children's interest in history, and it's been done very successfully. I can't imagine anybody objecting to it.
Well, and the album itself, that's what I was referring to.
Oh, it's great stuff.
Yeah.
The DAR is coming.
Oh, well, that was, when the thing first came out, there were some objections among very conservative people that thought that was not the way to talk about American history heroes, but in fact, I humanized these American heroes. I always said I got them down off the marble horses in the statues in the park, and
that was the best part about it.
And that's why history teachers across America for the last 2 decades have used this as a teaching aid, and at the college level as well.
I know WJBC uses it similarly.
Yeah, certain holidays roll around, and it's just a must.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you for calling, sir.
Thanks.
Let's get to the Bell story. Can I play a commercial from, 20 years ago?
Yeah.
This is about a potato chip.
This is the first time the Bell brand potato chip people came to me, and I created a character out of a potato chip named Irving Bell, and I think if you play this, it's self-explanatory.
Are you mad? You can't do the Irving Bell story in 60 seconds.
Oh, yeah? The small time, the tank towns, I played them all. I'm Crispin, I'm delicious, and I'm entertaining too. St. Louis, Minneapolis. For my next number, I'd like to do an imitation of a Bell brand corn chip. Philadelphia, New York. A Bell brand potato chip on my shoe.
You haven't seen him work yet. Go get him, Irving.
I'm Crispin, I'm delish. Sorry. Sure, there were hard times.
A potato chip in show business don't make me laugh.
Sure, there was heartbreak.
Sorry, we just gave the part to a pretzel.
Then, one night in my dressing room in a theater in San Francisco,
Quick, the #1 potato chip has broken its leg. Get out there, Bell.
You mean?
Go get him, baby.
The Geary Theater proudly presents Irving Bell.
I'm crisp and I'm delicious and I'm entertaining too. Why don't you give me a chance? Here we go! Let's face the Bell brand potato chips and dance!
Again, what can I say? Absolutely fantastic. 60 seconds, you have a whole Broadway show.
I love the way Billy May just chopped that off, yeah, on the end.
As if there isn't enough time.
That was great. But really, we made a joke about getting it in 60 seconds, but then it really was tough to get it in 60 seconds.
You even did... there's a million things I could talk to you about, but time is running very short. I know you did commercials for CBS television, even while you were doing radio shows, right?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
There's a whole series of those things, too.
But anyhow, I want to mention that the one you just played and all the other things that I've written and directed over the years were produced by my wife, Donna Freberg, who is my producer.
She's a wonderful lady, too.
She is, a very smart and lady, and very pretty, too.
Producer, director, writer, composer, performer, imitated daily. Let's play the one that's still running now. This is in California. Bell brand potato chips aren't even available here, but this is the latest.
Introducing Ma Bell's original full-strength potato chips.
That's just what the world needs, all right. Another potato chip.
I beg your pardon.
There must be, 50, 60 different chips on the shelf? What do you got in that bowl?
Avocado dip.
You always walk around the street with a bowl of, what's the name of your new chip again?
Ma Bell's original full-strength potato chips.
And you are?
Ma Bell.
I had a feeling, yes. What do you mean full strength?
Here, first try this pipsqueak chip.
Right out here in the street? All right. All right, that's pretty crunchy.
Now try this Ma Bell's full-strength, baby.
Fine. Oh, boy.
How'd that grab you?
That's like biting into a small footbridge.
You bet.
Nice flavor.
Ordinary potato chips.
Oh, are you still here?
Usually break off in the dip.
Yeah, that's embarrassing.
Now plunge a Ma Bell's in there.
Amazing. This is a great moment in potato chip science, all right.
Now, a word about Ma Bell's full-strength cheddar cheese chips.
Don't press. First, I'll try a bag of your original chips, then we'll negotiate.
Okay, have another Ma Bell's.
Boy, that's really deafening.
What?
That's it. You've done commercials for the National Council of Churches, in American Life, as I recall. That's been a few years ago. Just numerous.
Actually, I was hired to do it by by the United Presbyterian Church, but the National Council of Churches also distributed it all over America.
I can't tell you what a thrill this is for me. You've been one of my... heroes, I suppose, as far as this business is concerned for so many years. Anybody who's in this business, as I said before, has to be in awe of Stan Freberg.
Well, that's very nice of you to say, but you don't really have to be in awe of me. After all, you got me on your show this morning, right?
That's true.
Also, I'm putting a lot of this, my philosophy and interesting stories and projections about where I think advertising should go and so forth into a book for Random House that probably won't be out till the spring, but...
we're going to watch for that. In fact, maybe we could talk again when that comes out.
Yeah, that's right. My friend Ray Bradbury, the science fiction writer, is doing the foreword for me.
And you have college dates that you do, as I understand. You go around and speak to different groups.
I spoke. I just did 9 lectures for the IBM Corporation to all their thousands of employees on communications, and I spoke at St. Thomas College in St. Paul, Minnesota, about 10 days ago. Yeah, I do that. I love, especially since I'm trying to finish my book, I love the interplay with audiences, and I have questions and answers, and I really see how people feel about things that I'm saying.
Yeah. You also are a father of a son and a daughter. That son that was on that commercial we played earlier has to get to school.
Yes, he does. That's right. And my daughter, Donna Jr., was on an album I did in the mid-'60s called Freberg Underground, an experiment in pay radio, and there was this cut on there called Anybody Here Remember Radio?
That was your daughter?
That was my daughter.
I'll be darned.
11 years old, yeah.
Yeah, in fact, that's where you do the maraschino cherry thing on...
I start these children at a young age acting. Actually, Donovan, my son, was the voice of Charlie Brown when he was 7 or 8 years old.
Very talented family.
Yes, thank you.
Stan, I can't tell you again how much I appreciated talking to you. We'll do it again at your convenience.
It's wonderful being on, Ken, and we'll do it again sometime. Hello to all my friends in Bloomington. And my wife grew up in Park Ridge, Illinois.
I'll be darned.
Yeah.
I'll be darned. Well, hopefully we can get you to town. Who knows, for some reason.
Well, you never know. You never know. One of the people that want to do the United States of America as a stage show, is involved with the Chicago Theater, so maybe we will do it there.
All right. Stan, thanks.
Thanks, Ken.